genetically modified organism is any organism whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering techniques. GMOs are used to produce many modifications and genetically modified foods in order for the food to last longer without being corrupted. One example is genetically modified crops. The aim for this is to introduce a new trait to crop that does not occur naturally in the species. Examples in food crops include resistant to certain pests, diseases, or environmental conditions, reduction of spoilage, or resistant to chemical treatments, or improving the nutrient of the crops.
What are the common examples of genetically modified food and how often do we eat them? These vegetables are grown organically, but the list of genetically modified versions of these foods is growing every day. One example of which is corn. This corn has been genetically modified to avoid blemishes and have no kernel out of place. Corn is one of mankind's earliest innovations. It was domesticated 10,000 years ago when humans learned how to cross-pollinate plants and slowly turned a scraggly nondescript grass called teosinte into a plump, productive modern corn. Modern corn has been genetically modified so that the plant can produce its own pesticide. The insects that eats it dies. However, it will not affect our bodies when we ingest it because the protein responsible for the pesticide is designed for insects. Genetically modified corn shows up in our breakfast table. It is one of the main ingredients in our cereal. Another example of a genetically modified food is papaya. It has been modified so that it will be immune to a virus called ring spot virus, which threatened to wipe out the papaya industries in Hawaii in the 1990s. Without the help of biotechnology, there will be no papaya industry. Another example is milk. 1/5 of the dairy cows in the United States have been given RBGH, or recombinant bovine growth hormone. It is a hormone given to dairy cows to help them grow faster and increase their milk yield. The cows treated with the hormone now produces the milk that we consume.
For the pros of GMOs, first is the allergies. Studies have shown that there is less reaction to foods containing GMO ingredient than to those without. The companies that manufacture GMO foods are required to test their products and are allowed to sell these products as long as they do not cause any allergic reactions. Second is the quality. Food that is modified has proven to be better in many ways. The taste and color have been enhanced as a result of the modification. GM foods are lasting longer on the shelves and in our home, making them more desirable to consumer and companies alike. These enhancements save the companies and consumers money.
Strong growth. GMO seeds are designed to be super seeds, strong and hardy. They're able to grow in harsh environments. Genetically modified seeds are making it possible to not only grow in harsh locations, but also grow in less land. Each seed is modified to be stronger and withstand more herbicides and pesticides, which guarantees a higher yield.
If GMO food is so much better than organic or non-GMO food, then why all the criticisms about it? This is because GMO foods is being criticized about its effects on health. Animal studies have shown that GMO foods can cause organ damage, immune system disorders, accelerated aging, and infertility in animals. In humans, GMO foods has been linked to gluten disorders. Contamination is also a problem. Like all seeds, GMO seeds will cross-pollinate. This self-propagating population will be impossible to eradicate since they are always interacting with other plants. Because of cross-pollination, a super weed is being created that can resist the effects of chemicals. Farmers are using more and more chemicals to kill the weeds, resulting in GM crops having a higher toxic residue.
Good day to everyone. I'm Glenn Gregorio. I'm a scientist, I'm a geneticist, and a plant breeder. So I work more on developing varieties for rice and corn and other crops. At the same time, my experience is more on developing mapping genes for undesirable traits. At the same time, I've also experienced with working with genetically modified organisms. So I work with the International Rice Research Institute, and lately I work with the research and development for developing vegetable varieties. If you say genetically modified organisms and GM foods, genetically modified organisms, it means these are the organisms that are being manipulated by inserting a genes from other organisms to make it to transform that plant or animal. That's why it's genetically modified, because the convention to differentiate from a normal breed crops they are usually same species. They intercross to each other to develop a new product or a new plant or a new variety. But this genetically modified organism is they they use the genes from other species and transfer it to the other plant. So the genetically modified food are the product of these genetically modified organisms. Example for rice, it's this type of variety had been transformed or genetically modified using they call it GMO, by transferring a gene from corn. They transfer the gene to rice, and the product of this rice is a GM food. So based on how these genetically modified organisms are food made, so usually it involves a lot of study on understanding what trait you want to incorporate. Okay, just like the original one is like tomato. Tomato has they transfer the gene to make tomato last long, because usually tomato, if you harvest tomato, it takes only 2, 3, 4 days, then it will rot. So they transfer a gene that it will delay the ripening of the tomato, not coming from tomato but coming from other crops or other organism, and they transfer this gene to delay the ripening of tomato. So once they transfer it there, then the tomato fruit, once you harvest, it will be ripened after 5 days to 10 days. So it will help in the transport. Example for rice also, they have the golden rice. Rice has no vitamins in it, has no vitamin A. So they transfer the yellow gene or the vitamin A gene from corn, and they transfer it to rice. So they map the gene, they identify the gene, they identify the sequence in the DNA, they cut that sequence, and they insert it to the rice genome, so that the rice has that gene, so that the rice becomes yellow, it has a vitamin A. So that's how the simple process. So but it takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of scientists to assemble that. It's like engineering, you have to reconstruct. Okay, why genetically modified foods produce? Because usually, just like an example, the rice, the golden rice, which has a vitamin A from corn, because rice has no vitamin A in it. Even the other relatives of rice, which is near, they have no vitamin A. So we could not develop a rice that has a vitamin A. So if the trait or the characteristics is not there within the species, you have to get it from other species. Okay, just like the delay ripening of tomatoes. So there's no gene that controls the stem border. So they get the gene from the soil, the microorganism, the Bacillus thuringiensis, and they transfer it to corn, so that the stem border or the corn border will die if they eat that toxin. But that toxin is not toxic to human beings.
From conventional food.
Yeah, the assessment of the genetically modified organism or food is assessed differently. It's very strict because there's a lot of problem, or there's a lot of misunderstanding from the media of the common people, because they tend to hallucinate, because all of the movies you see about biotechnology, about scientists becomes disastrous, like King Kong or the Jurassic Park, the Cocoon, Gattaca. Everything becomes negative. So everything becomes negative to them. So they were assessed differently, very stringent. It's very difficult. But what I'm saying, it should not be the opinion of the people. It should not be the opinion of this other, or the media. It should be the opinion of the scientists or the psychologists that should assess that it's safe or not. So it's not. It's like if you are sick, it's the decision of us that you will be operated, because we know if you are sick or not. You will not get a mutation from the people. Are we going to operate this one, or is the sickness right, or blah blah blah? But it should be the scientists who will be evaluated. So they are assessed differently, but it was proven most of the time that it's safe. Actually, the many concerns issues are more example. If you transfer the gene from this plant to the other plant, it may have it become allergens, mayroong allergy, or it may be toxic sa tao. But it's like if they get the gene from the microorganism, it becomes toxic. So that's the main concern. But we are just getting the portion. It's the gene. So it's a small portion, and we transfer it there, and it won't affect it's tested, and we go to the process, and it's proven not to be toxic. But of course, there's other concerns that but so far, even now, you are eating everything. That's why in the Philippines, if you're eating potato chips, you're taking oil, you're using your clothes, they are all GMO. If you eat tokwa, if you eat soy sauce, they are all GMO, because these are the products of corn, for their oil. Canola oil is GMO. Soybeans, all our soybeans are GMO, and we are eating it, and but we are not producing it.
Concern for the environment.
So the issues for the environment, maybe example, the main issue is like it might contaminate it may crossbreed with other species, or with example within rice, that the gene will be transferred to other rice varieties which they don't like. For example, the herbicide resistant corn, it may be transferred to the grasses also, so the grass will be herbicide resistant. So those are the concerns that have been also addressed step by step by scientists. In GMO and organic, they could work together. Actually, technically, GMO are more organic than you could grow organically grown golden rice. You could grow GMO BT corn or BT eggplant organically without pesticide, because you will not be using pesticide, because you will be having less pesticide. At the same time, if you want really to have, you don't have a cross your variety, the GMO soybean or the GMO eggplant or rice will not cross with other plants. So they will just, if your neighbor is an organic, you are doing GMO. So you could plant the GMO, and you will just talk to your neighbor that they will not plant their flowers, the plant will not flower at the same time, so there will be no cross-pollination. So they could be a good neighbor. Actually, if you have a GMO neighbor, usually he don't put pesticide. So unlike if your neighbor is organic and the other one is non-organic but non-GMO, they are using a lot of pesticides, so it's more detrimental for the organic people.